All right, so here we are, Phil, Sam, Will. You might be watching this video right after the previous camera chat in the photography masterclass course. You might be watching this on YouTube, somewhere else, but basically it's been about 5 years since we released that video.
Yeah.
And we often get questions like, Phil, what camera did you end up getting? And we've all been on our own camera journey. We just wanted to come together, talk about what cameras we did end up purchasing and sort of that process.
Since making the photography masterclass,
which was 5 years ago.
We're not going all the way back.
No, I think we've talked about that before. So we've all changed camera brands since then. Let's do a reminder for what were we shooting at that time?
Start down there.
I was shooting Sony. I had a Sony A7R III, which is still a great camera today.
Yeah.
Still a really good camera.
And I was shooting with the Canon 70D. Was it the 70D?
70D. Yeah, I think you had a 7D too, didn't you?
Yeah, before the 70D.
And I was on the Fuji X-T2.
Yeah.
I remember.
And after all of that long conversing, I was so excited to join my brother in arms
Don't make me feel bad.
in the Fuji world. And for years, we were just so tight. We could talk about our camera. We could share equipment. I got the Fuji X-T2 right before my first kids were born, my twin boys. And that I ended up going Fuji, and it was the perfect setup. I loved it. It was small. I got a variety of lenses. My favorite for shooting photos of my kids was the 16mm prime. Opens up to 1.4, I think, and great lens for getting close, but still getting full shots. And so I loved the X-T2, and then I eventually upgraded to the X-T4 when that came out. The X-T3, I believe we were talking about it in the previous video chat. That was sort of in the horizon, had just come out.
It was about to come out.
But I got a really good deal on the X-T2, and the X-T4, the sensor was I believe it's the same as the X-T3, but the video capabilities were a little bit more advanced. I like the flippy out screen. And
this one has IBIS, which the X-T3 did not have. I remember that being like their big, big thing.
Yeah. So even now, this is 2 years old now, because I got this when my third baby was born, Lucia, and so this was sort of a good upgrade, and this has become my everyday photo and video camera. I had been shooting a lot of my videos on the Canon C100, but I sold that just to be simple and have one setup, and I went Fuji, full-blown Fuji fan. And
we just started doing the advanced videography course and shooting on this, and it looks great still. Even with those long lenses and stuff.
I love it for video.
It's a really awesome video camera.
Yeah.
It is impressive that and I know that Fuji came out, has a new camera out, and they'll probably keep coming out with them, but like for a 2-year-old camera, there's not necessarily been major leaps and bounds. I mean, unless you want to talk about 8K and stuff, like it's still for video really great, and for photo a really great camera.
Yeah. So this guy left Fuji, so we're gonna start with.
I think we go that way because part of my progression is his fault.
Okay, so
go over there.
Sam, you were shooting Sony, and you're a Sony fanboy, like totally into Sony. You had multiple Sony cameras. So you had the A7R III.
I want to say we got our company, got a Sony A7S II first. That was the first Sony, and that was like for video, and it's really good for video. We also had cinema camera Sonys at that time. So we were in that whole ecosystem. And then when I was really going, the A7R III was my main camera for years. I had that camera for probably the longest I've ever had a camera. It's a workhorse, amazing photo, amazing video, super fast autofocus. Like, it was a great camera. And then I think I've told this story before, but I was on a camping trip on a peninsula, and there's super heavy, dense fog. And I woke up, and my camera, which was inside a camera bag, was soaking wet, and salt air completely corroded the sensor. So I was in this weird place where a lot of my film work was being done on our video cameras or film cameras, cinema cameras, and I wasn't doing all that much photo. And I got a Leica Q at some point when I also had the Sony A7R IV. So I kind of introduced myself to Leica. I love the Leica Q. It was the most amazing, and is still to this day, behind the scenes, quick walk around the streets, travel camera. I love that camera. I think it's one of the best cameras ever made. The Leica Q2 being its upgraded version, but still, both are phenomenal cameras. And so that eventually, when Leica came out with the SL2, I hopped on it because they upgraded all their video features. They just were coming out with this really great new camera that I thought would work at the level I wanted to and could be my just single one-use camera. High megapixel, which I really like, having really large files. Could do all the video things, and then I could also adapt like an M glass to it. I could get Voigtlander glass. I could adapt various types of lenses to it, which I really liked as well. So got that and had that camera for a couple years now, which I love that camera, and it's for video work and for photo. It's kind of my B cam to a lot of video stuff, but also an incredible photo camera. Really, really incredible. It's fully weather sealed. Has most of the same things as the Sony A7R IV, or same things as the Sony A7R III.
So you had the Leica Q, but when your Sony got destroyed, did you think about like jumping on Nikon or Canon, who had these newer mirrorless lines that have been getting a lot of people shooting them now?
Not once.
Didn't you consider Fuji for a split second?
He did. He totally did.
Half a second.
And we would have all been Fuji together, but
I still, even with my Leica SL2, still debate going back to Sony. I still think that Sony, for video and event photography, their autofocus, and Canon and Nikon rival this now, but it's just far superior. Yeah. Like the Leica is slow comparatively, I think, to those cameras. But working in cinema, working with $100,000 lens sets that are these beautiful things that you make films on that are just this gorgeous glass. I've never shot something close to that until I started shooting with Leicas. And the quality and the just everything about it just makes me smile. I get excited when I do this stuff. And it's not for everyone. And I'm very well aware of that. And I know the price point is absurd and I totally get it. And for me though, it was just the next move. And it'll take a lot for me to move in a different direction ever again.
Hopefully not another winter storm on a peninsula.
I just think that's going to be part of my life at this point. But yeah.
So confessional time. Well, so you just decided to get rid of your Fuji kit and jump ship.
Well,
let's hear the story.
So
you have a good reason.
At the time we were shooting Fuji, I was doing a decent amount of weddings. I had a Fuji X-T2, which I think was like such a great camera for me at the time.
Yep.
It was affordable. I could get all the lenses. It was good enough for my headshots and weddings that I was doing, and I didn't need necessarily any video aspect of it because I was Sam and I have two big cinema cameras that we use for video stuff. So that being said, I upgraded to the X-T3 when that came out, which like as a Fuji's like main flagship camera, that camera has been like one of the end-all be-all mirrorless cameras of all time.
Yeah, it's a great deal for that
size sensor
camera
and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I upgraded to that. So then I had the X-T3, the X-T2, and a various amount of lenses for weddings. And the X-T3 was my main shooting camera for weddings. So I continued to shoot weddings on that and all my other headshots and portrait sessions and everything that I did. And then Sam and I went to Guatemala and did this documentary where we took our cinema camera down with some Leica lenses that we used on that camera. And they were beautiful. They were amazing. Sam also had his Leica Q1 with him. And I knew I'd been avoiding messing with it, and I messed with it. And I just fell
down in Guatemala.
I just fell in love with the look of the glass, the like speed of it, the size of it, all that stuff. And it just so happened that they were coming out with the Leica Q2 right after we got back from that trip for some reason. All the stars aligned. And I was like, all right, well, I'll go ahead and go for it. Like, and this has been my favorite camera I've ever purchased in my entire life. Like, this is my daily, still to this day, this is what I carry around with me everywhere I go. Like snowboarding, horseback riding, like to the beach, to concerts, to like whatever. It's a fixed lens, it's weather sealed, it's 47 megapixels, it's got crazy good autofocus, it's got macro, it's like everything I need in like an everyday camera. And I started using it as like a backup secondary camera when I was shooting weddings to the Fuji X-T3. So I started using those two cameras together, and in my perspective, the glass on the Leica, this piece of glass itself, which is worth more than the Fuji camera itself, is just exquisitely more beautiful. Like it just looks, I was talking to Sam this the other day, like it's hard to describe like how I feel about what Leica glass looks like. Like it looks like real life to me. Like things that are in focus are sharp and they look beautiful, and things that are out of focus look like they're out of focus when you're just in life. I don't know. It's a hard description. So to me, Leica has the best glass in the world.
So is this your only camera right now?
No, my other camera is so the X-T3, I was like, this is not as good glass, and it was starting to slow me down.
Yeah.
There were times during weddings where like, I couldn't get enough light into it, even with a 1.4 or a 1.8. The shutter wasn't good. And that's no fault to it. It just has a smaller sensor.
Yeah.
Not a lot of light is coming in, even with the fast lenses. And it was just slowing me down in relation to this full frame little camera. And so I was like, all right, that's it. Like I missed a ton of shots. I second shot for some weddings that just wasn't up to par. And I'm ready to switch to a new system. And I actually looked at Fuji's GFX line, like their medium format, but I had tested one and rented one. Wasn't fast enough for me, although it brought in a lot of light. It just the way it functioned and stuff didn't work, which I think for cameras is a lot to be said, right? How you feel about it, how it functions with you, how you shoot with it is like, I think far superior than the quality of what it's doing. And then I looked into Canon, and I just couldn't get behind the Canon glass. I just, for some reason, and Nikon, which is why I left Nikon in the first place to go to Fuji, was I was tired of the look. And these are like microcosms of my own, it's not for everyone. So then, I was like, all right, well, what does Leica have on that level of photography? And Sam had bought the SL, and they again had come out with the SL2S, which was half the megapixels for him, but it still did great video, which we're shooting on right now. You're looking through my main camera that I use for work and for video work and for weddings, and that right now is being shot through a 24-70 Leica lens that's beautiful, 2.8. The problem was I sold all my Fuji stuff. I've sold like 5 lenses and 2 bodies, or 1 body, and was able to afford one Leica body and 1 piece of glass.
I mean, I think that is why the Fuji system is great for people who are kind of stepping a little bit further into photography, coming maybe from like a Canon Rebel series or the Ace 6500 or 6700 Sony or whatever, and they want, I mean, that's maybe more of a comparable camera, but the lens, you can get so many lenses, a nice full lens kit for such an affordable price. And
it just depends on what you're doing. And like, Fuji's such a great entry system, and to learn on a Fuji, because everything is so tactile and right in front of you versus like in digital menu systems where you're trying to find that out. It's rough.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, the point at which you sort of realize, okay, this camera's not holding up, is that you were shooting alongside someone shooting on the brand new flagship Canon mirrorless. And so you're having this opportunity to side-by-side comparison, and you're shooting how many, 6,000 photos in a wedding?
Yeah, we're shooting a ton.
A stupid amount of photos, low light, crazy lighting conditions. I mean, weddings are like go, go, go. And so it's putting it to the test, to the extreme.
Yeah, we were basically up against it. Yeah, couldn't keep up with the other photographer, and she was shooting at the same ISO.
And for 80% of your other stuff, for shooting headshots, for shooting all these other things, it worked for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just the second that's why pros will pay that little bit extra, that little bit more. Yeah. Because there's those few times when you actually need that.
Oh, I wouldn't be comfortable shooting like wedding or event with this, especially weddings where it's like there's the moment and you miss it.
I made it work for a long time, but
I think you could do that. Yeah, I don't want to say you can't shoot it with this, but if you're gonna feel 100% confident
Yeah.
knowing that your camera is not going to be buffering or anything, then
And putting
and the
yourself,
low light thing too. Honestly, with the crop sensor, there are times where I might get the shot, but it's a little noisy or whatever. Not as clean as I want.
Well, that's the hardest thing too, is when you're putting up two camera systems in the same scenario at something like that, and you're just seeing that, one's not full frame and one's not just, delivering that. And at the same time, you have another point and shoot camera that's giving you amazing results. It's like there's a lot of factors going into that.
So that's where we're at right now. And I'm waiting to see what the next, if it's the XT5 that comes out, or they have their more video-centric XH series. There might be the XH1 coming out, or XH2 coming out, and I might pull the trigger on that to make my XT2, which I still have as my backup camera. I'll probably sell that one, and then this would be maybe my B camera for video. I don't know. I'm assuming that the XH1 might have actually better photo features as well, because I think the sensor is going to be better in this new in their next series. But
I'm so curious to see where Fuji takes it, because like the GH5, or GH5S, what Panasonic's doing, like you can do so much with those smaller sensors in terms of like what it can serve output. You lose lighting and certain things, but you can just do such high resolutions, or you can do like 10-bit or 12-bit, and now that Canon's putting out 8K cameras, like it's crazy what the options are. And also, I mean, and especially doing what we do, both the video and the photo side, because I've significantly cut down how much video work I'm doing with my mirrorlesses and stuff. And that's why I actually got this camera, which is a rangefinder that doesn't shoot video at all. And I mean, completely different world than what Will's shooting, but it's all like, more street documentary, like slowed down, really slow moving type of photography. And it's just been, I don't know, I love this camera. I love like just being a photo camera. And then my video stuff is all with something completely different.
Yeah, everyone's different. Every photographer has different needs, and that's really what matters more so than the actual brand.
So this is our, I guess, 5-year update. I think
Do this every 5 years.
We'll have to do it every 5 years unless there's something in between that dramatically happens.
I think
we'll see.
Stuck with this camera for a while.
Well, I'm not going to hold you to it. So we will see. We'll update you in 5 years. And until then, if you need anything about cameras, photography, head over to photographyandfriends.com. That's got all of our courses, our camera guides, our Lightroom presets, our coaching, everything over there. So check out Photography and Friends, and we'll see you in 5 years.
See you, everyone.